And I'll be honest, I think he's one of the worst running backs in football. When I watch him, I don't think I almost think he shouldn't be in the NFL.
I am back here with BetPrep's player prop sharp Brad Feinberg, back with another handful of player props for week 5 in the NFL. Brad, let's get right into it. Let's talk about the GOAT, because you have a Tom Brady prop right off the bat here. Tell us what you like.
You know, it's interesting, Jamie. Again, it's an obscure prop. I get it, but it's a winning prop. Tom Brady's rushing yards, 3.5. Look, we know Tom Brady can pass the ball pretty well, but Jamie, we also know he doesn't run the ball very well. He doesn't run the ball very often, and he's just really not that good at it. Look, I went to BetPrep site, researched it. When I saw this, I'm like, doesn't Tom Brady always get like 0? Plus, Jamie, you get the end of the game when they're up 10-point favorite, he can get negative. He could have 5 yards and go, lost 1 yard, lost 1 yard, lost 1 yard. Boom, we cash our ticket. 37-13 this last 50, 74%. I'm going to go, what's he done the last 2 years? 15-5 the last 20, 75%. So to me, what has fundamentally changed? He didn't get faster. I like this bet very much. I think it's a 75% winning bet. I mean, there's nothing to make me think that it isn't.
Let's stick with another Tampa Bay Buccaneer and another under you like here. Antonio Brown, 5.5 catches. Why are you going to take the under on this prop?
Look, I love Antonio Brown, Jamie, and I'm going to stress this every single week I'm on the show. I bet numbers, not players, right? Now, if this over-under was 3.5 for Antonio Brown, like, Brad, why do you like the over? I'm betting a number, not the player. Let me make that clear. Look, Antonio Brown, I'm just doing the math on it. He's averaging 4.5. That's what the numbers should be, Jamie. The numbers should be 4.5. His last 11 games, he's gone under this since he's really become, I'm not talking Pittsburgh Antonio Brown here. Let me make that clear, okay? As the old Rick Pitino statement is, Parrish, McHale, and Bird aren't walking through the door, okay? The Pittsburgh Antonio Brown, I don't think, is walking through the door. So since he's been to Tampa Bay, 9-2 to this under. That translates to over 80%. He's averaging 4.5. They made it 5.5. Jamie, again, I'm going to dare him to get 6. It's really that simple. I mean, I just think the math on it is in my favor, and I think they made it 1 catch too high.
Sticking with wide receivers, there's another player that's perennially underrated but had a really nice game recently. That's Hunter Renfrow. Let's get some more positivity for this prop. We like the over here. Tell everybody about it.
Jamie, it's funny. I agree with you. Like, I think he actually just, look, I think part of this is actually just watching the games, getting a feel on who's involved, who isn't. I mean, obviously Waller's his top target, but in terms of the receivers, Jamie, I actually feel, dare I say, comfortable that Hunter Renfrow is the top guy. He's getting 7.5 targets a game. He's averaging 63 yards a game this year. Now, I'm going to go by what he's done this year. He's 4-0 to the over, averaging 63 yards. They made the over under 43.5. I just think it's too light. Look, I understand last year he wasn't as strong. I get it. But I'm playing for the 2021 season. I think he obviously seems to have, at least in my opinion, an expanded role. I like the way Derek Carr is looking. I think he looks great. Again, he's getting 7.5 targets a game, getting 63 yards a game. I would have made this over under probably in the low 50s. So I'm going to take a stab at over 43.5.
I'm with you 100% on this one. One of my fantasy football bold predictions was that Renfrow was going to be the most productive Raiders wide receiver this year, and that's really kind of where we're trending. Love the talent of Henry Ruggs and Bryan Edwards and some of the other pieces, but in terms of consistent production, Hunter Renfrow has been that guy.
I will not fall. The Charlie Brown when he was holding the field goal and he fell on his face? That is Bryan Edwards to me. Don't ever mention his name to me while we're on the phone again, because my fantasy football partner, because I 2 straight years I led him down that road. So that will not happen a 3rd straight year. But anyway, side note on that.
We'll be sure to mention that we're not going to see a lot of Bryan Edwards props coming up. So I will note that going forward.
I appreciate it, Jamie.
But there's another receiver. He had a big game last week. Him and Justin Fields really connected, but you're not buying into back-to-back big games for him. He's been a little bit up and down this year. That's Bears receiver Darnell Mooney. Why do you like the under on his receiving yards here?
Jamie, look, I'm just going to look listen, I'm smart enough to admit I could be saying this wrong, that maybe Darnell Mooney is the guy there. And maybe, look, it's like certain people like certain people, right? And maybe Justin Fields just loves Darnell Mooney, and that's just going to be his guy. Could it be? Absolutely could. And I'll take my medicine if I'm wrong. But when I look at his career, 14-6 to the under here, I think it's a little aggressive. And look, I'll be honest, This is every bit as much a fade to me on Justin Fields. I'm going to dare this guy to throw for 51 yards, let alone 51 yards to one individual receiver. I think he's still, I don't know. I have not been impressed. Maybe others have. I personally haven't. And I just have no confidence in this passing game at all. And again, 14-6 in his career. Now he's 2-2 to the over this year. So he's gone over half the time. And you're right. Last week he had a great game. And he's a talented player. This is more, I'm being honest, Jamie, this is more me fading the Bears offense, so to speak. Not so much the player. This is more, I don't know if the quote unquote de facto number 2 receiver is going to get 51 yards, at least 45% of the time. And I don't think he does. So I'm going to play this under and I'm going to take my chances.
Moving over to a couple running back props here. Let's start with the guy who had a really nice night in prime time last week. That was James Robinson. You think this James Robinson train is going to continue this week? Tell everybody what you like.
Well, look, first of all, it's a game I think they can win. Okay? This isn't a game where they're 4-point underdog, Jamie. I mean, this isn't a game where you're like, they're going to fall behind by a lot. And when a lot of times you take an over running back, let's say it's a double-digit kind of game or an 8-9 point line, you could be drawing dead before you know it because they could be down by a lot, and then before you know it, pass. This is a game I think they're going to be in, and the line is saying that it's a kind of a close line. And I look at James Robinson, 59.5. I just think it's too late. We didn't get Carlos Hyde last game. Don't know if he's going to play this game or not. But I just think Robinson's the main guy there, and I just think this line's too light. I thought this line should have been about closer to 71. So again, that's what I made my number. I didn't make it 79, but that's what he's averaging. But I made it 71. So I got a 12-point number difference to what I made my own numbers. I got to take that chance, Jamie. I'm going to take that over.
Another running back prop that you like, and a guy that's been used a lot more over these last couple of weeks, James Conner. You like the over on 9.5 rushing attempts. Let us know why.
Again, look, and I'll be honest, Jamie, despite him having a tremendous first name in James, or anyone who's close to your first name, I endorse the guy. But here's the thing, with James Conner, I think he's just a horrible player. Like, I think he's actually, and I'll be honest, I think he's one of the worst running backs in football. When I watch him, I almost think he shouldn't be in the NFL. I'll go that far. I don't know what they see in him, but that's okay. It's not my job to be a scout. But what I am seeing, Jamie, is that he's getting touches, right? He's gotten 16, 8, 11, and 18, averaging 13.5 rushes. So they made the over under 9.5. They are a 5.5 point favorite. So even though I actually think that line is a little too high, that's irrelevant. They still are a 5.5 point favorite. So they're not expected to lose the game. That's fair to say. And the game should be close. I think that's fair to say. They shouldn't get blown out. He's been getting it. He's been getting 4 more carries a game than 9.5. Again, I always say, would I rather be consistent or would I rather be right? Before the year, I hated this guy. I think he has no talent. I don't think he should be in the NFL. I really don't. I don't think he offers anything other than he shows up and he plays. But I don't see any talent. But I'd rather be right just because I don't think he's good. The Cardinals obviously do. And their opinion is what matters, not mine in terms of that. He's getting the usage. I think I would have made his own runner, honestly, at least 11.5. I think 9.5 is too late in a game where they're favored to win.
James Conner's mom, cover your ears. He's talking about your baby boy.
Nothing against it. Look, he's obviously overcome a personal tragedy, and I root for the guy. Let me make this clear. I know I have to say this. I root for, again, he's overcome a personal tragedy. He's probably an amazing, inspirational story for many people, and I truly root for him. Hand on the Bible, I mean that. I really do. I just meant I don't think he's a great NFL player, but I really do root for him, and it's a great story what he's accomplished and all he's had to overcome. I give him so much credit because he's overcome hardship that I couldn't even dream of.
No, of course. We're talking numbers. We're talking football.
Yeah, I don't want you to think it was a personal
them as people or anything. But we are talking about a player that does have a ton of talent, but we haven't seen it fully untapped yet this year. This is the London game. So depending on when you're watching our video in the money down sequence, if you watch it before the show, game is not being played yet. If you're watching it right now, he may have already hit this prop. We don't know. That is Kyle Pitts. Tell us why you like an over this week. Is this the breakout week for Kyle Pitts?
Look, Jamie, I'll be honest. I always pride myself math. But sometimes I just got to go a little bit with my instincts. This is one of those times. Look, the math on, I think he's averaging about 40, 6 yards or something like that. I don't have the number. I think he's averaging 46, 47 yards. So he's still going over it anyway. But look, to me, Kyle Pitts has been someone who owns him in my fantasy teams. I don't know if you have him, Jamie, in any of your leagues. He's been, to say disappointing would be kind. To say very disappointing would still be kind. He just hasn't really done it. The only guy who gets touchdowns is Cordarrelle Patterson. Like, that's the 11th commandment. No one can get a touchdown on the Atlanta Falcons besides Cordarrelle Patterson. We know that. Look, I'm not expecting Russell Gage to play here again. And there's a chance, Jamie, I'm sure you saw the injury report, that Calvin Ridley didn't practice today. Now, I made this bet before I even saw that. I can't lie. But it certainly, if we don't get Calvin Ridley, gosh, then it really should open things up. But even if Calvin Ridley plays, which I'm expecting, I'm still going to be stubborn here. I believe in this player. I've watched him so much in college, and I just think the talent's there. They took him 4th overall. I have to think he's a major part of this team. To get 40 yards, it's such a light number. Again, Again, this is one where, again, I don't have crazy math. He's only played 4 NFL games in his career, Jamie, but I just still would stubbornly put his over-under closer to the mid-50s. I really believe he's a guy who really should win the end of the year, Jamie, get over 800 yards receiving. With the end of the year, we'll see if I'm right.
All right, let's wrap things up here with the one final player prop bet. It's Aaron Rodgers. It's a really tough week 1. He and the Packers as a whole look excellent over these last 3 weeks. At least you think that a little bit of that's going to continue this week. You like the over on 1.5 touchdown passes. You're laying minus 180, so you're going to pay a price for this. But that must mean you really like your chance.
Yeah, that's what I wanted. Jamie, thank you for saying that. I wanted to stress I'm laying minus 180 because if most of these are minus 115, minus 110, whatever, I'm not going to, But when I'm laying minus 180, ding me 2 units or close to 2 units if I lose this one because, you have to put up, almost 2 to 1. But listen, Jamie. I went to BetPrep because when I saw this, I'm like, 1.5 touchdowns, Aaron Rodgers. My sister, who doesn't probably know who Aaron Rodgers is, would probably know to take over. Okay, sometimes it's that easy. I'm like 1.5, Aaron Rodgers. So I go to BetPrep and I just put in his last 25 games. Like Aaron Rodgers. Okay, what is he? 22-3 is what he is. 22-3 comes to 88%. So I should be laying theoretically about minus 900 here. I wouldn't make it that. Let me make that clear. But I think it's fair to say, Jamie, and I really do think it's fair to say he should be at least minus 300 here. And I should, he's a 3 out of 4 chance. Even if I cut that 22 of 25 down to 18 of 25, this is still an amazing bet if I do that. An amazing bet. If I make it 17-8, it's still an amazing bet. He's just doing it. Because what I like about this, Jamie, is when Green Bay even gets inside the 3-yard line, they pass the ball. They still pass the ball. So you see it with Tom Brady all the time. You see it with Patrick Mahomes all the time. Those 3 quarterbacks, Josh Allen all the time, when they get the ball down the goal, they'll still pass the ball. So to me, again, it's minus 180. Sometimes the best bets, Jamie, can be when you're laying a big price because people think, oh, it's a sucker bet. If you're laying such a big price, that's a sucker. Well, let me ask you a question. If you could lay minus 180, Steph Curry makes a free throw. Let me just say, I would back up the Brinks armored truck and make that bet. It's only, you have to look at the number, okay? That's what you have to look at. Minus 180, too low of a number. I've talked about it long enough, but I love Aaron Rodgers over 1.5 TD here.
There you have it. Some really great overall betting advice on top of the player props for this week. We will be back next week and every week throughout the NFL season. That is Brad Feinberg, the player prop sharp for BetPrep. Thank you for watching.